What is up, everybody? It is Thursday. No, April. What? I'm filming these early. I should have a baby by this point. So let's see. Thursday, April. What? 15th. There we go. April 15th, Thursday. So yesterday, you should have done that vocab assignment online. On your asynchronous day, the day before that, we should have had the fast food chicken assignment. And now today we are talking about managing your weight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lecture today. You're going to have some time to do the 8.4 review. Then tomorrow we're going to do one of my favorite assignments for this nutrition unit, looking at we're going to be stuck inside a McDonald's and have to eat there all day. So I will show you how to do that. But managing your weight. All right. So this section talks a lot about a couple of things that I'm pretty passionate about, but the essential question is, what strategies can you use to maintain a healthy weight? Not about losing weight, not about gaining weight, just maintaining a healthy weight. I think we get stuck too much on losing weight, right? Or in some cases, gaining weight. And really, it's just about being healthy, and not only healthy, but healthy and happy. All right. So after studying this lesson, we should be able to summarize the different factors that influence our weight. There's a bunch of different factors that do influence our weight, from our genetics to our social circles, things like that. Explain different strategies for measuring and determining ideal body weight. This is something I'm really passionate about. Differentiate between healthy and unhealthy strategies of weight management. Identify healthy strategies for weight loss, and describe healthy strategies for weight gains. So warm-up activity, make a list of your favorite foods. Why do each of these foods appeal to you? Is each of these foods helpful for reaching and maintaining a healthy weight? So if I was going to list my favorite foods, right, I would say, we've talked about this in class before. I love chips, right? Holy cheddar and sour cream ruffles. Like, come on. I love chips. I love Chick-fil-A. What else? What do I love? I love an English muffin with peanut butter and jelly and bananas. I could eat 5 bananas a day. But okay, so those things, are they helpful for reaching and maintaining a healthy weight? Probably not. And that's sort of the issue, or the, why we have a hard time with having a healthy weight, right? Is that a lot of our favorite foods, the ones that taste good, aren't necessarily the best for us, right? And that's going to come up a lot when we talk about managing a healthy weight. It's not that you can't eat these things, but you have to do it in, you got to be smart about it, right? You can't sit down and eat an entire bag of chips. We're going to talk about some of the strategies that, how you can still eat these, foods that you like that maybe aren't as good for you, but just doing it in a better way. And we're going to talk about why diets, for lack of a better term, suck. Diet is a bad 4-letter word in my vocabulary. All right. So there are, like I said, a bunch of factors that influence our weight. So genetic factors and makeup. So from your parents, right? Well, typically we get a similar body shape to our parents. How we gain weight, how we put on weight, the hormones that we have, which can affect how hungry or full we feel. We talked a little bit about this in that genetic factor. I remember somebody said, like, I'm as skinny as a rail. Thanks, mom. Right. Like that they got that from their mom and dad. So yeah, your genetic factors play a very, very big role. So for me, I put on weight in my stomach area. That's like genetically back hundreds of years that my entire family has had kind of a big belly, right? So I got to be smart about what I'm doing, right? And it can affect your metabolism too. And people get stuck on, I have a slow metabolism or I have a fast metabolism. Everybody's metabolism is similar. It's not like somebody's going to be like really slow or somebody's going to be like really fast, or that you utilize that energy so quickly. It's just how you utilize that energy, not necessarily like how fast you do. So, but that's an entirely different topic. But I do want to dispel the fact that, like, I have a super fast metabolism, I can eat whatever you want. And maybe that's true now at 16, is that you can eat whatever you want. You don't put on any weight. But I can tell you right now that when you turn 25, 26, 27, 30, that ain't going to happen anymore. So you got to start making better decisions now. Eating patterns of physical activity. So your balance of calories in, calories out, right? We talked about calorie balance the other day. That's going to determine if we maintain, gain, or lose weight. Doesn't matter what we eat. A calorie is a calorie is a calorie, right? And as long as we are under our calories that, we need for the day, we're going to lose weight. If we're over, we're going to gain weight. How much physical activity we do, right, is also going to be a big factor in that. if we're burning 3,800 calories a day, well, it's tough to eat 3,800 calories a day. So you're likely probably going to lose weight. But if you're only burning 1,800 calories a day, that can be an issue, right? A lot of your, these can be impacted by your food preferences, right? We just talked about that in the last slide. It's we like food. If you're like me, it's one of your favorite things. And our food preferences can be I love ice cream, love a good Blizzard. Those of you who work at DQ know that. And that, I got to maybe make sure that I'm doing a little bit better here on my balance of calories in and out if I'm going to eat like that. Cultural background, social environment, all those things that we talked about the other day in class. Environmental cues, right? What does that mean? So an environmental cue would be the bell, like looking at the clock and seeing that there's 5 minutes before you have to go to lunch or the bell's going to ring for lunch. And that instant of like, oh my gosh, I'm hungry, right? Like you can feel it in your stomach. That's an environmental cue, or the bell just ringing for lunch. Like that environmental cue that, oh, it's lunchtime now. I can be hungry, right? So that's what an environmental cue is. Other ones could be like, the smell of food at home, things like that, right? Socioeconomic status, right? We talk about that people who are of a lower socioeconomic status typically have higher rates of obesity, and that's because healthy food is expensive. And then your mood, if you're in a bad mood, you are going to typically eat more. So figuring out your ideal weight depends on a lot of different things. Your age, your height, your sex. So if you're a male or a female, your body composition, what your body looks like, where you put on weight. And I'm not here to tell you what your ideal weight is. I don't even like most general practitioner doctors, like there's healthy weight ranges. But it's going to change like year to year, month to month, especially now as a teenager, when you're growing. The one thing that I don't like to use is body mass index. All right. So body mass index is something that we use to determine levels of obesity on a macro scale. So on looking at the entire United States. All right. That's where BMI should be used. But unfortunately, over the last 10 to 15 years, we've seen people use BMI on a micro scale, on an individual scale. All right. So what BMI is basically your weight in pounds divided by your height in inches squared times 703. And the problem with BMI is that if you have any sort of muscle, all right, not just any sort of muscle, but if you're muscular, if you're athletic, right? We know from biology that muscle weighs more than fat, right? Fat floats, muscle doesn't. It's less, it's more dense, right? So muscle is going to weigh more than fat, all right? So if you are a very muscular person, you are going to be considered obese according to BMI. I saw something that the other day, and like of the 32 draft picks that are going to be in the first round of the NFL, only 6 weren't considered overweight or obese, according to BMI standards, right? So that tells you what you need to know. Like I am considered obese, and I use that to my advantage, right? In terms of getting the vaccine, they use BMI as a factor. So if you're considered obese, you can jump up in the line and get the vaccine earlier. I think I'm probably a little bit overweight, but I'm not obese. But according to my BMI, because I'm somewhat muscular, my BMI is right around 30, which they would consider overweight or obese. It is not a good way to look. Like honestly, like I know some people in health classes sometimes look at their BMI. I don't even want you guys to look at it. Like I don't care. I don't want you to like. That's not something that you should worry about because it's a garbage form of addressing your individual weight status, right? So I don't really like it. BMI values for teens and children are plotted on growth charts based on age and sex. So overweight, having for a particular height, body weight from fat, bone, muscle, water, combination of these things, excess body weight, underweight. Like I said, they don't take into account differences in body composition. So how you look, what you look like, muscle, things like that. Not a good individual type thing. When we're looking at a huge population, yeah, it's great because it's super easy to use. But again, on an individual thing, I'm not sold on BMI, and I think it probably does more harm than good. Many people in the United States have difficulty managing their weight. Surprise, surprise, right? 70% of adults 20 years of age or older are affected by being overweight. meaning that they have BMI of 25 or higher. 36% of adults and 80% of children are affected by obesity, meaning that they are over 30%. All right. So when identifying a healthy weight range, right? Body composition. This is the ratio of fat, bone, and muscle that make up your body. People talk about being big bone. That is a real thing. All right. People can have bigger bones and thicker bones. People can have skinnier and lighter bones too, right? But body composition is that ratio of how much fat, how much bone, and how much muscle you have in your body. To determine that, there are a couple. I wonder if I have a slide. I don't think I have a slide on that. No. So finding out the ratio of fat, bone, muscle that make up your body is really, really hard to do. There are a couple of different things that they do now, like a bod pod, it's called. And maybe I'll show that in the next lecture. But basically, they put you in this pod and you actually go underneath water, and it talks about disbursement and things like that. But way more sciencey than we need to know in here. But yeah, it's really, really tough to figure out the actual body composition of people. Body fat distribution, though, location of fat deposits on a person's body. They measure these in your waist circumference or your waist to hip ratio. So they measure your waist and then they measure your hips and they figure out the difference there. We know that the bad place to put on fat is around your stomach. And that is typically a better predictor of physical health effects than actual weight or BMI. So looking at your waist circumference or your waist to hip ratio is a little bit better way to determine if you are healthy or not. People who weigh the same have the exact same body composition. Absolutely not. They can have very different body compositions. People with a high ratio of muscle, such as athletes, may weigh the same as others, but have a lower body fat percentage. I always talk about this with BMI, right? One of my best friends in college was 5'6", 220. Short, stocky hockey player from Ottawa. And he couldn't swim. I mean, he can swim, but he didn't float. He had no fat on his body. His resting heart rate was 50. And he was, all muscle, built like a brick house. And like I said, he couldn't float. We'd have to use those kickboards. He'd have 5, and he still couldn't keep himself up out of the water. But according to BMI, right, he was considered obese. This kid is the epitome of athlete. Got ripped out of his mind, no fat, but he was considered obese by BMI. That's why BMI is a terrible predictor, right? He can weigh. He's 5'6", 220 pounds. Well, he could go and look at another person who's 5'6", 220 pounds who has no muscle, right? And their body compositions are going to be very, very different, but they're both considered obese by BMI. That's why it's not a great indicator. How does weight affect your health? So what impact does your weight have on your health now and in the future? They're obvious. This is going to be a question in your review as well, but it has big impacts on our health now and in the future. The body that you have now is not necessarily the body that you're going to have in 2 years when you graduate and 10 years after that. But again, we talk about healthy weight. It's all it doesn't. I don't worry when I talk about this. I don't worry so much about being overweight or underweight. It's do you feel good? Do you feel like you can do the things that you need to do, whether that's play sports or walk up and down the stairs, whatever. Do you think that you can do the things that you need to do now? And if you are, then guess what? You're at a healthy weight. So if we do want to have some weight management strategies, there are a ton of really, really easy ones. I talked about, the small plates. I think that's a really good one. Set and reward realistic goals. One thing about goal setting sometimes is that we set a goal and it's so far in the future. I want to lose 25 pounds. Well, it might take me 6 months, a year, 2 years to lose 25 pounds. And when it's so far off in the future, we tend to lose motivation, right? So set and reward realistic goals that you can accomplish in the short term. So for me, if I don't want to, I'm trying to lower my intake of pop. I could say I'm not going to drink a pop 2 out of the next 4 days. Boom. If I do that, then I can reward myself with something. And then I might say I'm going to not drink a pop 3 out of the next 6, 4 out of the next 8. I'm just going to keep increasing the length, right? After time, it just becomes a habit, right? Avoid unhealthy strategies like fad diets. Diet is a 4-letter word. All right. because diets don't work. They might work in the short term. All right. You might lose weight in a short period of time. So like I know I had some wrestlers in this class. They've obviously done diets. They know that they can do this and I can lose 3 or 4 pounds, and that's fine. And that's good, right? Like awesome. But if you want to lose weight and keep weight off, it can't just be a fad diet, because a lot of times fad diets aren't sustainable for a long period of time. All right. You need carbohydrates, you need fats, you need protein. Anytime you like cut something completely out of your diet, it makes it very, very hard to sustain that over a long period of time. Diets don't work. Lifestyle changes work. All right. You need to it has to be something that you are willing to do for the rest of your life. Are you willing to just, be on a juice cleanse every week for the rest of your life? Great. Then that works. But otherwise it is a fad, short-term solution. All right. You need to look at things that you can do over the long term. And really, like I said, it comes down to calorie balance. It comes down to being active and eating as healthy as you can. Pay attention to the foods you consume. Be fully focused on the present moment when you eat. I am terrible at this, especially if I'm snacking, right? Oh, I'm going to grab this box of Cheez-Its and we're going to watch, whatever on Netflix. And all of a sudden half the box has gone, right? I'm not present in the moment when I'm eating. And it's hard for me now as a dad because I'm worried about, are my kids eating? So I'm not present. I'm eating off their plate. Like that's a difficult thing for me to do. So I need to make sure that I'm better at that. Monitor when and what you eat, right? Keeping track of, they have so many apps on your phone now, like MyFitnessPal. It has almost every single food in there. So easy to do. Limit screen time, especially when you're eating, like I said, not looking at your phone, not looking at your TV, like be engaged in eating, right? And when you are, then it tends to, when you're more focused on that, you're not going to eat as much. You're not going to mindlessly eat. And that's a good thing. Change your thoughts and avoid an all or nothing mindset. A lot of times people end up on these diets, and if they cheat a day, then it's like, well, whatever, I'm done. It's not all or nothing. It's like I said, it's a lifestyle change. You are not going to get it perfect every single time. So if you're going to try to eat healthy, right, set these realistic small-term goals. And if you fail, guess what? Try again. Don't give up. That all or nothing mindset doesn't work. And enlist support. I did this with the first semester classes. I said, okay, I want to be able to do this. I'm going to tell you guys. So now you know, and you can start to hold me accountable. When other people know what you are trying to do, it can be a huge, huge benefit in helping you accomplish those goals, whether it's weight loss, whether it's, working out, not Snapchatting 48 hours a day, whatever, right? The rate between which your body uses energy to carry out basic physiological processes, such as breathing or digesting, is called your metabolism. Ratio of fat, bone, and muscle that make up your body is called body composition. And fad diets often promise significant weight loss in short periods of time and involve cutting out entire food groups. And guess what? They don't work. All right. So this took me about 18 minutes here. So you guys probably have about 25, 30 minutes left in class. You can do the 8.4 review. All right. This is going to be due tomorrow at the end of the day. When you see me tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about the McDonald's meal plan assignment that you are going to do. Like I said, we're going to get locked in McDonald's for 24 hours. You're going to have to pick all your meals there. So get excited about that. All right, guys, we will chat soon. Have a great Thursday.